So earlier this year, it marks the end of an era within the American circus. For 145 years, there has been a tradition, and that is the performing elephant. Elephants occupy a definitive place in American popular culture, and there are a host of characters that depict this long-standing fascination with these majestic creatures. From Babar to Horton, this is just a small sampling of these fictional characters. But our other association with elephants is mostly with the circus. Earlier this year, we mark a historical event with the last performance of the elephants at Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus. Created by 7 siblings, the Ringling Brothers held their first official circus in 1884. But the circus had already been in the United States for 100 years prior to Ringling Brothers, right? And a circus wasn't considered a real circus unless you had an elephant. And the first elephant was actually brought to the US in 1796. Now, sure, we know about Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus, but they were actually 2 different circuses. So Ringling Brothers was known as the world's greatest show, and Barnum and Bailey was the greatest show on earth. This didn't happen until 1918. Fast forward May 1st, 2016, although I traveled by car to Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, dragged my husband, made a pit stop in Jersey, where I'm from, picked up some friends, and then headed to the Mohegan Sun Casino Arena. May Day is, especially May 1st, is a pretty significant day within circus history. Usually that would be the beginning of the season as well. So I wanted to document the elephants, right? Regardless of what your stance is on elephants, I still recognized it as this moment in history. So, of course, I wanted to go early and take pictures because you can go and see them before the show. And they're outside and they're basically throwing sawdust on their back and they get cleaned off with leaf blowers. And little by little, you know, it's sort of they try and rush you along and then they're like, all right, they're going to parade next to you and then they're going to go into the arena. So we're waiting in line as they shoo us away. And then the elephants started coming closer and closer. I'm completely oblivious. And then my husband's like, T, that's my nickname, look. And I'm like, what? And all of a sudden, here are these elephants way in the back. And as they approach us, you really sort of get to see the majesty of them. You know, and for me, it was a moment of, wow, you know, yeah, this might be the last time that I get to see the circus in this manner, right? But no matter what, you know, it was just seeing these creatures walk by, right? And then you get this brief moment. And I wanted to do a tribute to this moment. Most of the work I do is actually sideshow banner related. So the sideshow is different from the circus, although historically they've been connected. And although there were some instances of sideshow during the circus, the elephants actually coming out was relatively short in connection to the whole entire show. Essentially, they're parading around the arena once and then they go back in. Then later on they come back out and then there's a few tricks that they do and then they're gone. So an elephant is a huge investment. So when Ringling actually first got their elephants, it was 4 years after they started performing. Back then it cost $1,400. In today's money it would be about $40,000. So a massive amount. And so by 1908, they had 40 elephants. The more elephants that you had, the more prestigious your circus was, right? And they still actually use rail cars, right? And it wasn't until this particular time when they had 3 different circuses on the road that they were really the greatest show on earth. So the sideshow banner that I have in the papering, the town exhibition downstairs on the lower level, pays a tribute to this historical moment. It really is 145 years. Typically, sideshow banners don't depict circus themes, but because there's this issue of where they're disappearing, I went in a new direction and combined the 2. The other thing is just thinking about advertising and media and how that affects leisure time and how we spend our leisure time. So those things have influenced the circus. So using Champlain College Maker Lab, I teach there in the graphic design department. I'm experimenting with new materials. This is a light guiding acrylic. There are particles within the clear acrylic, which alludes to the transparency or the lack of the elephants in the circus. And when you light it up with LEDs, it winds up sort of creating this glowing reflection. The drawings I created were made by hand and then scanned in and then done in Illustrator. And so the pink elephant sort of alludes to this idea that we have about elephants in American history. But, it also talks about hallucinations and its associations with drinking, right? In this imaginary world that we, are with. And so here with these elephants, it's this fleeting moment, and the radiant light film in the background creates a funhouse mirror that actually distorts. And you get to see this when you walk around the piece. And so it gives you these multiple viewpoints that are represented by all the works that I created for the Papering the Town exhibition. You can see the distortion that happens in the background, so the furthest elephants sort of create this illusion where they grow and they stretch and they change colors, right? And it becomes this hallucinatory kind of moment when you're viewing the artwork and still represents the idea that the circus elephants will no longer be with us, but at the same time, they're being used for cancer research now, and Ringling has been promoting that. And they've been doing that through many different avenues, which is a much different thing considering the paper posters that we see in the Papering the Town exhibition, can all the way up into media and screens, and the media that I'm using to show the elephants. Thank you very much.